There's going to be some yellow in there. And this yellow is much more of almost a peachy color. I'm going to let that migrate down and see what happens there. So I kind of like that look. Then up here, we've got, there's actually a leaf coming down here. That's part of that. And then what's happening up here? That's much pinkier up there. All right, so let's drop some more blue. We're not going to make that too solid there. I'm going to just touch that with clean water. Actually, I think I'm just going to blot that. And if you're finding that your petals are looking too severe, just blot it with your paper towel. That's all you have to do. This is a challenging painting, just from a time standpoint, because it does take a lot more time to do this. So don't rush yourself. Take your time with this. Okay, here's that undulating petal that I lost. So let's try to get it back there. A little bit anyway. So it's dark, fine. Let's don't put that in like that, because that's kind of lost. So you can just erase it if you don't want it there. That's how easy that is to do. I want this dark petal in here. Try to go ahead and push it really dark in here. There's a nice big dark shadow right here at the edge of that. There. And then it comes out in here like that. Generally, I'd put those in when it was dry, but that's okay. All right, what's happening here? That's why that's almost white there. Okay, so let's push some more of that blue in here again. Just keep building it up, and that's where that really dark is. So we'll get that separately. And this has striations in it that actually come on down into the rest of the petal. So just to show that those are connected. Not that heavy though. Of course, you'll be able to tell that when we get the masking fluid off as well. This is all one petal here. And we need to just clarify that that's all one petal. And if you want a really fine line, even with a bigger brush, if you just hold your brush up here rather than like a pencil, you can get quite fine lines. So you can get almost as thin a line as you can get with a smaller brush. Okay, let's push that one right in here. And let's put this back, which is just the shadow of this leaf under here. This is what gives you realism, are the shadows. So that'll be important to build that up. Let's go in with a slight pink down here, just in this area here. Don't want that going down into my background there. Okay, and let's go in with this purpley blue and a finer triangle here. And just flick that back up. I'm going to go ahead and dab that because that's going into our background and I really do not want it doing that. Okay, I will put some colors in here though in this bud, just because it's looking kind of like an afterthought. All right. Okay, and then over here, we actually have a beautiful pinkier. And you see how I just move my puddles around? That's kind of how I do it. It's a little too purple though, and I'm going to dab that off. And I'm going to dab that off, maybe that. And this, since I want it pinker, I'm just going to add a little pink to it, which is actually quinacridone magenta. And this is very wet, what we're dealing with right here. So the way I get that look is just to go down here and flick it up. And then we'll soften it in a minute. Or you could turn it upside down and make it a little easier for you. If you actually turned it upside down, it's going to merge right into where you want it to go anyway. So you could do it that way. Just to give your petals that lovely, but if you're going to do that, be sure you turn your actual photograph upside down as well, because it's real easy to get confused. This is probably an easier way for you guys to do this, truthfully. It's just to do this. Drop your color in where you want it. And then with a wet brush, just touch the edge where you want it to run with clear water, with a clean brush with a bit of water on it, and it will take it right down where you want it to go. And we are just building these colors in here a little bit just to give it the edges some interest. And again, I can actually draw a pattern with clear water and the paint will follow where I want it to go. I chose to do that like that. And anywhere you have anything hard, just dab it out. Right. So we got that. Let's work on this edge. This is quite dark in here. So first you have to find it. So I think it's this right here. And it's actually coming in behind. It's coming from here and coming back. And this is coming up. This whole petal is quite dark here. And then if I don't want this to be dark, I just use clean water and soften back into it. And that is that green right there. So let's make some more of that green. Pull some of that yellow in it. Maybe a little bit more. And there it is. Daniel Smith makes a beautiful green called Amazonite, which is actually this color right here. And it's, that's not the right green. Let's try that. That's better. Always remembering that it's going to dry a little bit darker than what I've put in here. I really like these Escoda brushes. I really like the Perla. That's what this is, because it has a really nice point and it holds its point really well. Okay, so we've got some more green in here. So again, if I do the same thing I've been doing, and I just pull it in there around this, that'll be nice. And then we move over here, the edge of this petal. So actually, we've got a dark that comes in right about here, and maybe right about here. And you know, if you're not exactly precise, it's not a big deal. We need to go back and soften this edge though, that's too fat. Make this one larger. So if I just want to soften that edge, all I have to do is come in with clean water and dab it. All right. And if I don't want to take that out with a paper towel, I can just take it out with a thirsty brush. And I want that hard edge right there. Okay, so let's see what we've got down here. We've got a blue quite a blue. It's almost a blue-gray. So I think we'll take our cerulean. And that's really quite a dark also. So I think we'll take our cerulean blue and add a little bit of Payne's Gray to it, just the tiniest bit, to get a darker blue, and we did. So I think we'll drop that in here. It's kind of around in here, and that is actually, the dark is actually on the edge of the petal. So I think in that case we'll turn it back around so that we can put it right along the edge. Okay, and we're just dabbing it in, and it actually comes down lower here to about right there. And if you want to build texture, you don't have to do a smooth wash. All right. I kind of like how uneven that's looking, but I will wet this down here, just touch into it so it softens just a little bit. All right. And then this also has the same dark, but it's almost more purple. So I think we will put this edge in, and I shouldn't be painting next to a wet petal, but I am. So we're going to let them all blend together anyway. So then we're going to bring this down, because this comes down. And a lot of these striations, or whatever you call these things that happen in the petals, help you to define the petal so that you can tell the story of what's going on in the actual flower. So we'll leave that like that, because I know I'm going back over that with yellow, and I know that's going to change that blue into being more of a yellowy color. All right, so let's drop this in again back here on this one this time, loosely. The wonderful thing about watercolor is you never quite know what it's going to do. That's what makes it fun. And if you're a controlling person like I am, it's really good practice, because it forces you to be flexible and to learn to roll with the flow, so it's really a great lesson. Watercolor gives us many great lessons. Then this up back here is pretty much solid because it's in shadow. So as you can see, I'm just building my colors layer after layer, ever so patiently, waiting for something to happen here that's eventually going to look like a flower if I do my job. Still have lost this, and I would really like to get that back, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But there is a definite shape here that has to be darker, and it's rumpled. So we'll keep working on these darks. We'll just keep pushing the darks darker, and even these, even though they're not blue, just so we know where they are. Okay, as you can see, it's already coming to life a little more. So I think you've got the idea of basically what happens here. So I'm just going to work on this for a while so that this video isn't incredibly long. And I will be back shortly.